So you all know who we are. I'm Andrew Goodall, Tim Digon, and we've founded the Daily Scholar, which is an educational tech company. And our first product is a social engagement software that's designed to revolutionize the way that students interact with each other in the classroom. Now, Tim and I have about 15 years of combined experience working in a variety of contexts in schools and education centers in Southwest Missouri, teaching, volunteering, and that experience coupled with the experience we had during our undergraduate and graduate experience has really kind of shaped the way that how we came up with this idea. So we really wanted to create something that was not existing when we went to school and in the schools we were working in. And that is a space where critical thinking, communication is happening in a way that is built to service the needs of today's students. So when we talk about what the problem is, in our minds, there's two very unique problems that exist when we talk about K through 12 and higher education today. And the first is all of our students live in this hyper-tech world in which every way that they interact online and every format of social media venue is constantly at their fingertips. That's the world that they live in. They've never known a world in which their identity is not tied to a user profile. Then you've got this other world where they're in a classroom, and over 90% of all classrooms are lecture-based. They're sitting there, they're listening to a teacher, they're writing on paper, as it were, and the transference is linear. It's not something that feels intuitive and useful to them. So why does that bifurcation exist? That's a problem, huge problem. So their learning preferences are definitely changing. The other problem is that because students are constantly engaged in this virtual reality in which everything that they say and everything that they write, every type of interaction they're having, there's no moderation. No one's curating that. It's all just free. It's a huge free-for-all. And then they get in the classroom and it's like, okay, now I have to write this way. Now I have to think this way. Now I have to discuss this way. And students in the world that they're in, they don't know how to disagree. They don't know how to communicate effectively. They're just used to just regurgitating everything they've ever heard or feel like saying in that moment. And that bleeding over the classroom is creating chaos for students. They're not growing and engaging in those particular ways. So the current learning management systems, or an LMS, are still built on an old school model. So they are designed to administer the entire learning process where a teacher can create an assignment, they post it, the students read it, they write about it, they upload their assignment, it's graded, that's it. But these LMSs understand that is still a problem because the student learning preferences are changing. And so as Tim's going to talk about a little later, their method of coping with that is their innovation method is to buy these companies that are doing those things. Our software solves this problem quite easily. And what it does is it puts all of these different components together to create one single platform in which students can communicate, collaborate, and engage all in one space. So students are used to this idea of social media, and that is transferring over into this rising, changing cusp of education in which there's a social learning paradigm that's dominating the landscape. So all across the country, new innovative types of schools and districts are creating classrooms that are merging many different types of learning environments. That's the future of education. And so students do learn better when they're engaged. They do learn better when they're collaborating, when they're teaching each other, when they're engaging in those different ways. And so we put all of those together and build our platform. These emerging market trends, like I've talked about the social learning paradigm, the other two are as a personalized learning environment and a cloud-based LMS. So no longer is software purchased and installed onto a server or computer. It exists in the cloud because it gives students and teachers greater flexibility. They can communicate, they can work in a variety of different spaces, and the personalized learning environment simply means that students don't want to just be recipients of material. They're used to publishing, they're used to creating. That's what they do naturally all the time. But in the classroom, they don't get to do that. But schools understand the need to change that. So both of those wheels are what are feeding into this social learning paradigm. The value proposition of our software is that students want to be engaged. That's what they're used to. And when they're engaged, their effort rises in the classroom. Better test scores, greater retention, and better graduation rates. Not to mention the fact that the students come out of high school, going into college, they can write more creatively, they can communicate more effectively, they can think more critically, and those are the things that colleges and universities are looking for. That's the types of tools and skills that employers are looking for, and that is the type of skills that our software helps students develop. So a quick look at what our software looks like. It's intuitive, its user interface is bright, clean, fun. It feels like social media for the classroom. It's completely customizable. Teachers and students are creating content, and the teachers then managing that. And again, it feels like social media for the classroom, so it's something that students are readily adapted to. They're used to creating on social media. They're used to talking, commenting, sharing. They can do that on our software. Students are able to debate, to collaborate, all of these different things that we're talking about that raises students' engagement and creates more effort on their part is what our software offers them. Our debates feature is easy for teachers to initiate. Students can also create it. The multiple formats that we've developed, even since our demo day of the accelerator, is that teachers can now assign their entire class one debate based on a topic. The software randomly assigns students to either be opposition or proposition. Students can still vote on who they think is the winner of each particular debate. The teacher can post those results on the site or export them somewhere else. But in addition to that, students don't have to create something in order to be challenged to a debate. Students can now debate each other directly, any topic of their choosing, as well as the teachers can now post spark debates or discussions where students choose either opposition or proposition, and they can vote and comment on that as well. We built polls and surveys in because teachers use these a lot to gauge their classroom, to have them take different ways to assess and analyze what's going on. And so this gives them the ability to do this right in the software, post it for feedback and export the results. Our development pipeline is continually expanding strategically, but these are just some of the features that we currently have and are working on developing. And Tim is going to talk a little bit about more what our focus on development is right now. So our traction and validation of the 16 unique classrooms and teachers that are using our software in the classroom. We have over 500 students. That number is close to 600 at this point. We recently partnered on with a couple new schools this past month. And there's over 16 different school districts that have students contained in those 16 pilot partners. So we've got a good diverse offering and beta testing group right now in Southwest Missouri and looking to expand that. These are just some of the things that students have said about our software. Here we have Mariah from Parkview High School here in Springfield, as well as Chase from Hillcrest. This is one of my favorite. The Data Scholar connects me with my peers like neurons in a brain. It's awesome. And here's a teacher from Jarrett Middle School who just talks about the fact that she loves the ability the students have to create and be free in the way that they are working with each other and enhancing their learning. Our Mockert opportunity is something that we're incredibly excited about. The projected revenue, total revenue, 5 years from now is expected to triple from this past year in 2016. So by year 2021, a nearly $16 billion online learning market comprised of businesses and media, yes, but of the over 133,000 schools in the United States, there's still only a small part of that market that's being tapped by current LMSs, and that's growing and will continue to grow in the coming years. And I'm going to turn it over to Tim.
All right, thanks, Andrew. As Andrew mentioned, I'm going to give a high-level overview of our business plan. I'm going to focus a little bit on our strategy for our market and how we're going to capture some of that market share, and then talk a little bit about our financial projections. I'm just going to touch on the high level, and then more specifically, in individualized meetings, we will go over those in greater detail. So our market strategy. Our software is perfectly built to capture certain segments of the market share. To my right here, you can see the speech and debate classes, media and communications, writing and journalism, history, social science, English and literature. Our software, the way it's developed, fits perfectly with that model. Fits perfectly. Secondly, if you look at the shaded areas, the light blue areas, the states in light blue, are either where we're at, Missouri. Obviously, we'll focus on that. But if you look at California, Wyoming, Tennessee, some of the other states there, they're very well funded outside of state legislatures. There's other local taxes there, so they're very well funded. That will be our initial target markets. California in particular, we had an opportunity about a year ago when we're starting to develop this software to present to an administrator over 122 charter schools in LA. They love the software. They wanted to use it, but there was no way we're ready to onboard all the charter schools in LA at that point. Our software wasn't ready. However, we feel we'll be at a good spot this spring to go meet with them again, show them the demo, and see if we can get our foot in the door in California. We already have a contact there to work with. The medium blue areas are very well funded by their state legislatures. So that's a great target market for us to go in and sell to K through 12 because the funding is there to do it. The funding is there to be innovative, and there's enough money there for them to look at some new software. Obviously, the rest of the states we'll focus on as opportunities permit, but our initial focus will be in those specific areas I just mentioned. with a caveat of our target market segment being these areas I just discussed. Some of our market strategy, Clever Partner Network. Clever is an automation tool used by 90 out of the top 100 school districts in the US. What Clever does is it gives schools the ability to automatically onboard, discharge, transfer students using the software. Springfield Public Schools onboards and admits 100 students a day on average. 100. So for them to manage that manually is impossible. So they use Clever. What we would do, we built automation integration with Clever so we can automatically plug into an LMS or plug into a school district, and Clever takes care of the automation for the school. So instead of the Daily Scholar being something else to worry about, or we have to worry about how are we going to manage this, we built integration that'll be ready this spring that will be seamless. Secondly, this learning tool interoperability. Many LMSs are looking to publish LTIs, so there's better integration between softwares. We are working on building LTI integration with our software so we can play nice with Canvas. We can play nice with Blackboard. We can work with any school district across the nation that uses those LMSs. Initially, when we started looking at the Daily Scholar, we were going to target areas that didn't have an LMS. Like, well, why would we target places with an LMS? But that's a perfect place to target if they're using an LMS, because we're going to build LTI capability where it works seamlessly for an LMS to supplement what those learning management systems do not do. So these two pieces here that we're working on will be ready this spring are very, very important for our market strategy, because the first thing we will do is go after these 50,000 school districts that use Clever, 90 out of top 100 districts. That's where we're going first. I'm going to talk a little bit about our sales cycle. This is an area we'll have to pay a lot of attention to. Selling to school districts is very rigorous, and there's times where you have to spend a lot of time discussing things, filling out RFPs, and spending a lot of time on the phone. So September through December, we'll be marketing all throughout the year, but our primary focus, September through December, will be marketing. Working on the phones, getting meetings, working with people. January through June, we will give our free 90-day demo trials out. We will do demonstrations, we'll go do face-to-face meetings, and work on the RFP process ahead of closing the deal in July and August. Pricing model. We've chosen 4 basic pricing models to use to sell the software. Startup, Silver, Gold, and Platinum. Startup being the entry-level point into the software. So I'm going to simplify this a little bit. If you look at the parentheses here, the number in parentheses, that's the maximum amount for a yearly sale. This is a yearly subscription to the Daily Scholar that Platinum is. For example, if we go and sell to Springfield Public Schools and we onboard 2,500 students, we're gonna cash in $14,474 annually on that contract. If we work with a smaller school district and they want their foot in the door, we can sell the startup plan that will get them in the door for $6.99 per user at 250 users for $3,246. So it's very flexible in how we sell this. It's based on users. School districts are already used to paying a certain fee based on users, so automatically those boards are looking for that, the administrators are looking for that, the CEOs are looking for that. How much am I paying per user per student? And that's how we built the software. I'm going to come back to that in a minute because it explains the financial projections. Here's a broad overview of the financial projections that we're looking at. For year 1, depending on when we get started, we're looking at generating $86,000 in revenue initially, expending out about $139,000, about 80% of that being staffing costs, for a net loss of $52,000. Year 2, we're looking at increasing to $459,000, expending out $419,000 with $40,000, well, not a break-even point, but we'll at least turn the tide in year 2. With year 3, we're going to make a big push and look to sell about $1.2 million worth of sales, expending out $815,000. Again, most of that being server costs and then also the personnel to actually sell the software. I'm going to show the revenue assumptions here. If you look at year 1, going back to the startup here, you can refer back to your notes there. We will have to sell 5 startups, 4 silver, 3 gold, and 2 platinum with a total of 14 schools to meet our year 1 goals. Year 2, same issue applies. We'll have to sell 27 startups, 21 gold, 21 silver, 16 gold, and 11 platinum for a total of 75 school districts. Year 3, $1.2 million. we're looking at 185 schools purchasing the software, which is a sliver, tiny small part of the market share. We believe we can overshoot these. We were modest in our projections. We think we can do much better, but we want to be conservative with our estimates. With that being said, we will entertain questions.